Hi everybody and welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Greta and I'm the dietitian at John Stoddard Cancer Center. So today I have another new recipe for you, and as soon as I saw it I knew I had to share it. So it is for a broccoli and quinoa soup with great flavors. We're going to highlight some ginger and turmeric and garlic and really amp up the antioxidant and anti-cancer benefits of this recipe. So we're going to get started. We're going to do some chopping first and then we'll go to the stove. So it calls for one medium onion, and this onion is huge. So I'm going to cut this one in half and just use half of it. So it's middle of March, and you know, some days we think it's spring, other days we're like, winter is still here. So this is a great one for a chilly night. Right now it is, I believe it is snaining outside, so it is quite chilly and windy and miserable. So this is a perfect night for this recipe. And because it is miserable outside, you may see a dog, hear a dog, because they are in the house right now because it's too miserable to be outside. All right. And I'm just gonna, and because it's a soup, and we're gonna leave the broccoli in pretty good, nice sized chunks. You don't have to be too picky or fussy about how small you chop your onion. Huge onion. Like I said, there's going to be some really great flavors in this. It's going to be a beautiful color too. There's lots of beautiful colorful things in this with the oranges and the greens. We're also going to make this soup really nice and rich by using coconut milk, which is something you may not be familiar with using. It's great in plant-based dishes to add sort of that richness and creaminess without using dairy, milk, or cream, or cheese. Alright, I'm just getting my onion off my board so that I can chop my garlic and my ginger. Onion's going to cook down by itself first, so I'm putting that in one bowl. And we'll set that aside. So ginger, a couple inches of ginger. This to me is a couple inches of ginger. I'm just going to take my knife and sort of trim it up. And then I like to use a peeler. I think that's pretty convenient to just get the tougher skin off of this. You can always do more. Ginger is a wonderful flavor. It's really good for, like I mentioned, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It's good for your gut and digestion. Helps reduce nausea. Ooh. So it's a really neat thing to use to cook with. I keep mine in my refrigerator almost all the time because I use it quite a bit. So I buy a nice big bunch of it. And I'm just peeling off the outside. The peel is edible. I think it's a little tough. So I choose to remove it. If you choose not to, I can't tell you you're wrong because that's perfectly acceptable. There we go. Put my peelings in my garbage bowl, compost bowl. And then I'm just gonna chop this up. I tend to always add extra ginger. I really like the flavor of it. And remember, in plant-based cooking, the idea is to infuse lots of flavor in there because then you never miss meat or dairy, or because it's just so flavorful. pretty well diced up because I like it kind of the flavor to be throughout the soup. I don't want there to be like big chunks of ginger in one bite. So I do kind of chop this pretty small. Perfect. I'm going to put this in a little bowl. That's going to go with my garlic. And we're going to do 2 cloves of garlic and add that to our ginger right here. I'm getting ginger everywhere, but it smells so good, I don't mind. All right, I am going to chop 2 cloves of garlic, and then I'm going to take you over to the stove and we're going to start putting this together, so we'll be right back. Okay, I'm over at my stove. I've got about 1 tablespoon of olive oil on about medium heat, nice sized pot. I'm going to go ahead and get my onions started. So we're just going to let these onions kind of soften. It's only going to take about 4 to 6 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and we're going to start layering in some of that delicious flavor. So see you soon. Okay, so it's been about 4 or 5 minutes. My onions are now nice and softened. So I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic and ginger. And then to that, I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of turmeric. And if you're wondering about my little bag here, this is my turmeric from Grenada that I buy at the spice market in Grenada. And it comes in these fun little bags. Fortunately, I was just there a month ago, so this bag looks low, but I got a couple more. All right. We're just gonna give that a stir. And you can see it's gonna turn, that turmeric, it just turned my onions this beautiful bright orange. And you can smell it. So we're just kind of letting that heat through for a minute until you can start to smell your garlic. That turmeric smells so good. All right, to that, I'm going to now add, this is 1 cup of quinoa. So this is a great whole grain to use. It's higher in protein, higher in fiber. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in with our onions and garlic and ginger, and just get all those greens nice and coated and all that flavor. To this, I am going to go ahead and add some fresh ground pepper to your taste. Perfect. I am going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt because I am using my homemade veggie stock and I put very little salt in it. If you're using store-bought veggie stock that is salted, you don't want to add a lot of salt here. All right, once everything's all nice and coated, and you can smell it. Over here, I have 5 cups of my homemade veggie stock. So the recipe called for 4 to 5 cups. When I've made this recipe before, I found that I needed the 5. It depends kind of how soupy you want it, or if you want it more like a dish of just quinoa and veggies, you can make it thicker, but I felt like it needed the extra stock. So I did the 5 cups. And I'm going to pour that. So this is my little trick. I was heating my stock on the side so that when I put it in, it doesn't take as long to come to a simmer. So we're going to turn this up. We're going to let it come to a nice simmer. Then we're going to turn it down to sort of a medium low, put a lid on it, let this simmer until your quinoa gets cooked. It's going to take about 15 minutes, so I'll see you then. Okay, my quinoa is over there simmering away, so I'm going to work on my broccoli now. So I've got a nice big bunch of broccoli here. I'm just going to trim the ends off. Don't throw all the stem away because we are going to use some of that, but I'm just going to trim the ugly bits at the back. All right, so we're going to separate our florets. And then you want to cut these in sort of bite-size-ish pieces. They're going to be bigger than what you would have in traditional type cauliflower or broccoli soups. We're actually going to leave them a little bigger. It makes this more, you know, hearty, a little kind of stewier. Just like that. Small enough that these are going to cook in about 5 minutes. So we are getting them pretty small. They really are about bite size. Perfect. Stem piece, I'm just going to chop. All right, so then with the leftover stem part, there's a nice tender part in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and use that. So you can either take a peeler, or I just sort of run my knife down and get that outside part off. That's the tougher part. That takes longer to cook. We just want the tender part in the middle. So we are not throwing the stems away. We're going to use them. Just like that. Peeler works fine too if you just want to take your vegetable peeler and go like this until you feel that it's gotten to the tender part. Perfect. And then what I do with these is I just cut them in half again, and then just chop them. And that will go ahead and cook in with the rest of our broccoli. Okay? So I'm going to finish up on this broccoli. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and put this all together. So I'll see you then. Okay, my quinoa is done. It is all nice and puffed up. Looks beautiful. All right, so to this, we're going to go ahead and add our 1 can of coconut milk. It may look solid. It's not. So make sure that you're careful when you take that solid part off, because then it's just going to pour. So I have made the mistake before that I didn't get it all the way over my pot and made a mess. Okay. Go ahead and just stir that in. I'm going to turn my heat up to about medium now for that. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put all of our broccoli in. A stir, and then you can see it is quite thick. This is the time that if you want to adjust the consistency, you can always add a little bit more stock to it if you like it thinner. I honestly really liked it sort of thick. So we're just going to let this kind of simmer together until your broccoli turns nice and bright green. It should only take about 5 minutes. We'll be back and see it when it's done. Okay, I'm back because it is done. So all the quinoa is cooked. Broccoli is softened, but it still is a little al dente. It's still got some bite to it. So I want to just quick show you what it's going to look like in my bowl. It is quite thick. It's not like a brothy soup. It's more like a stew. Look at all the beautiful colors. You could top it off with some fresh herbs or some chili oil if you want to make it spicy. So thank you for watching and enjoy.